So you guys can stay as you are, lying on your back for our first pose, or you can come into child's pose. So that's where I'm going to start, is a supported child's pose. But, you know, it's bliss. It's hour of bliss. So do what's best for you. If you're taking your supported child's pose, use your bolster, or for those of you practicing with us at home, use a rolled up blanket, some cushions or pillows. And just allow yourself to really kind of melt wherever you are, whether you're on your back, whether you're in child's pose, or wherever this first pose has taken you. See if you can just relax. Just melt into the pose, melt into your practice. See if you can start to cultivate an attitude of surrender. Shri Chinmoy, a yogic guru, he teaches that the journey of surrendering is a journey towards inner peace, moving away from outer turmoil. Because when we surrender, we're surrendering to what is, rather than what we think should be happening. Instead, we're accepting and allowing what actually is happening. And it's such a powerful practice, especially, you know, for all of us, this whole planet through 2020. We've really had nothing else that we can do except surrender. Surrender to the unknown, surrender to the new, surrender to, you know, uncertainty. And how we think things should be is not actually how they are. So when we accept things as they are, even if they're not really the way we want them to be, that's when we get to feel that surrendering experience. If you have a cheek on your bolster, you might like to swap it over to the other side. If you don't, just stay as you are. about 3 more breaths. We're going to take this into half pigeon, or sleeping swan as we call it in Yin. So when you're ready, no rush, help yourself up to set yourself up. Use your bolster to bring your chest onto. We're just going to go from one side to the other, so you can choose which side you start with first. So just bring that knee to the same side as the mat, that outside edge of mat. The toes swing out to the right or to the opposite side. And then you want to bring your bolster in so it supports your head, maybe your chest. And then let your arms be wherever it's suitable. So if you need more props underneath that hip, if you'd like to have a weight bag on top of the hip, maybe on top of the lower back. See if you can use this practice to surrender to what is. That journey towards inner peace. Second half of this hold, you can either just stay as you are, feel free to stay as you are as well. Otherwise, thread the needle with the left arm coming underneath. So you'll need to move the bolster out in front, out the way. The left arm comes underneath the right, and I like to use my right arm as a pillow for my head. Just to add in a little bit more depth and a rotation as well. 3 more breaths. We are going to swap straight over to the other side, but take your time doing that. So maybe find your way onto all fours and give your hips a bit of a shake out, a sway, a circle. Only when you feel ready. Just a standard half pigeon to start with. The first half is just a standard half pigeon on the other leg. We add in the rotation just after halfway. So set yourself up, bring your bolster back in. in that rotation. Move your bolster out in front, and this time it's the right arm. If your left leg's out in front, it's the right arm that comes in underneath. Or it doesn't really matter, just do the opposite to what you did the first side. slowly. And just come onto your bottom, maybe legs out in front, give them a little bit of a wiggle. Give your hips some time just to come out of it, yeah. Do whatever you need to do. We're going to take double pigeon from here. So that's legs seated, legs crossed. But take your time to get there. We will be leaning forward into it. Option one is just an easy seat, Sukhasana. So legs crossed, maybe bring your bolster at an angle, rest your forehead in the bolster, leaning that way. Option two, we call a box seat. So shins stay as you are, hips wiggle back, then we lean forward. Option three is the full double pigeon, which is the fire log version, where you cross your shins on top of one another. So again, this is a really deep hip opener that requires a level of surrender, especially through the hips, but through our whole attitude actually. Because as the mind, so is the body. The body responds to the mind. So if there's resistance in the mind, the body will respond to that resistance. So you have to have that attitude of surrendering. For the body to follow. Every exhale is an opportunity to surrender deeper, and if you feel like you've found a little bit more space to soften into, then allow that for yourself. And that's what Sri Chinmoy was talking about, you know, it's a journey, surrender's a journey moving away from that outer turmoil and into that inner peace. And even if the pose is heightened on our senses, inside, we move away from the outside and move into that peaceful, tranquil, harmonious experience of surrender. You've got 5 more breaths. We're not going to take it straight over to the other side, so just while you're here, a mental note of which leg you've got on top or in front, and then slowly peel yourself out of it. You're going to keep your left leg bent in, but take your right leg out long and sort of out to the side, so slightly wide. And then bring your bolster over to that leg that's long, that right leg. And we're going to take this into a fold, but shoulders down, so it's going to be a real sort of side left hip QL muscle stretch. So instead of it being like a real stock standard side stretch, turn your shoulders down towards your bolster, and you can bring your bolster on your leg, you can cross your forearms on your bolster. You don't have to rest your head if you're far away from your bolster, you can just let your head hover. Just find a comfortable enough spot to hold for the duration. Whenever you notice any muscles that kind of grip, especially the QL, the quadratus lumborum muscles, are notorious for gripping. That attitude of surrender is where it comes into play really significantly. Because if we can allow the mind just to soften, and the body will follow, with time, with breath, it will soften as well. then if you feel over time and with breath and that attitude of surrendering that you've created a bit more space, maybe you can soften a little further into that space. Three breaths. We're going to do a straight swap of this pose before we come back to our second side of double pigeon. So very slowly, very gently, just let your spine come back to neutral, upright, and then we'll swap everything over. So you can bring the bolster over to the other side. Bring that extended leg in and the leg that's in, extend it out. Set up whatever else you need to set up. And then it's a side stretch but shoulders down. So you can feel it sort of the outside edge of that lower back area. That's where the QL sits in quite deep underneath there. Just straighten the spine first, come out of that sort of side stretch rotation. Back to neutral, give yourself a beat there, a couple of breaths, and we are going to set up for our double pigeon second side, so hopefully you've remembered which side you did first to make sure you do the other side now. So set up your double pigeon. As you're ready, just easy seat, Sukhasana, box seat, shift your hips back, or fire log, stacking shins. Just making sure you're on the opposite side of where you were for the first one, and then lean in. Remember, it's a decent pose, so it requires an attitude of surrender. Slowly, slowly straighten yourself out and do whatever you need to do to unravel. We are going to do a golf ball release for the feet next. So when you feel ready, just find a comfortable seat on the bolster, off the bolster, doesn't matter. If you have a golf ball, that's useful. If not, a myofascial release ball is also useful. And we'll do 3 minutes each side. So maybe use the first 2 minutes to explore the whole foot, and then we'll use that third and final minute to go back to any sweet spots. Feel free to get your hands involved as well from the top side. It's so intriguing how connected the body is from one part to another. It's seemingly very separate, but how it impacts the whole. Same goes with our mental state, impacting the body as a whole. If the mind is rigid, the body will feel rigid. But vice versa, if the mind is soft, the body will experience that softness as well. And that's what Chinmoy meant, that surrender is a journey from that outer turmoil to inner peace. We're on our third and final minute. Last 3 breaths. If you need more time on that side, feel free to take it, otherwise swap it over. We're on to our third and final minute. And 3 more breaths. We're headed to frog next, Bekasana. So finish that off and pop the ball off to the side. And then set up your frog so you can use your bolster as your pillow to support your chest. Face any direction you want to, and use the real cushiony part of your mat. Take your knees out wide. If you're at home and you're on a hard floor, then you might like to roll your mat up a couple of times. Find that frog shape and then surrender into it. It takes a lot of mind surrendering, mind softening for the body to then follow. You might find initially that the hips kind of hold on, similar to the QL muscle that we were talking about before. The hips kind of grip onto this shape. See if you can send that conscious attention to your hips to soften. And then it's like you've got to keep reminding your hips to soften. Shavasana. Now, if you want to take a stock standard Shavasana, you can. But otherwise, we're going to take a variation. So Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of feet together, knees wide, is where we're headed. Take your time getting there, coming out of your frog, and have the balls handy. So once you do get onto your back, you can place, with your soles of feet together, knees out wide, you can place one ball either side of your lower back and a little bit wider than what you normally would, because with your knees wide, the pressure's going to come sort of out and around into that lower back area. Now you can, use a proper weight bag underneath that lower back, or even a block if you really want to feel it, underneath the balls to lift the back up and to create a lot of pressure. But you don't have to, you'll still receive an amount of pressure. It'll just be a bit more gentle with the back, your hips on the floor, the balls on the floor, and then the balls at the lower back. And then once you're here, if you've got an eye pillow handy or a towel, you can place over your eyes. You can even place weight bags on your hips or on your thighs, your upper thighs. You can place them on your stomach too, that'll give you more weight around the ball area. And then here you just want to allow all the cells of your body to relax. So surrender, that art of surrendering. Surrendering to what is rather than what we think it should be. Surrendering is the journey from the outer turmoil to the inner peace. Surrendering is accepting, the art of accepting what is. It's moving away from rigidity and resistance and moving towards harmony and tranquility. What I love about especially the balance practice, these yin long hold stretches, and especially some of the ones that we focused on today that are a little bit more challenging to hold for that extended period of time, is that it really gives us the opportunity to experience that surrendering into what is. We're such dynamic people in a dynamic society. We're constantly moving. Having that opportunity just to be still, to notice where there is resistance, and then experiencing that softening. Because we do that here, and then we can do that in that dynamic life that we live. So finish this last few moments off, long, slow, deep breaths. Feeling the art of surrender. Letting go of what we think it should be and, enjoying, accepting what it actually is. Knowing that it's temporary. Slowly just move our way out of the pose. If you have any weight bags, slide them off. Move the balls out from underneath. If your knees are wide, then lift them up, bring them up. Just give your hips a bit of a moment before moving anywhere else. You might even like to roll onto a side. Doesn't matter which side, but either side, before helping yourself up to a comfortable seated position. So we can close our practice with that beautiful but gentle vibration of Om. So palms together at heart center, eyes closed down. Let's Om. Take a deep breath in. Thumbs to third eye center, we bow our heads. That light of awareness within me, that place of pure surrender, honours the same place that exists within you, and when we share that place, we are one. Together we say Namaste. Namaste.